Good morning. Good morning. Welcome everybody for being on. I see we've got Paul. Good morning, Paul. Brian, good to have you on. Scotty, Linda, Season, Rick. I see lots of happy faces this morning. I see Chuck Glover. I see John Morey. Look at that happy face of John this morning. Junior's driving and on the phone at the same time. I don't know about you, Junior. Adam, Brandon's on this morning. Brandon owns Listing Leaders Academy in this area. He's a good guy. Some people I don't know. Christy, welcome to the show. Mark and Crystal. David, Kong. We have we have an AI bot, I think, somewhere in here. Is that starting to happen to you a little bit, Jim?
Absolutely.
You're seeing AI pop up everywhere.
Everywhere.
So Mark and Crystal, welcome to our free-for-all call. We do this call once a month. And who do we got already in the chat here? Brandon, there you go. He's in the chat. Great to see everybody. The man, the myth, the legend from Scotty King. There you go. So I normally just kind of like to get things started a little bit, let people hop on a little bit. It was a good post this morning, Jim, about Mr. Chuck Glover. I enjoyed that. Just want to let you know that.
All of his posts are really good.
Well, yes. I think it was your post. I think
my post about Chuck. Yes. Chuck. Well, that was a good. We're telling deal maker stories. Yes, that is amazing.
That was a really good post. I appreciated that. That was encouraging to me.
I loved it.
So, you know, if you guys don't follow Jim yet on Facebook, I'd highly recommend you guys go and follow him. We do have our Facebook group, the Real Estate Free for All Facebook group. If you guys haven't joined that, I'd ask you guys to join that. But you also want to join Jim's group. So Jim's he's our guest today. But Jim, what's the name of that group? I know it's a little different than what it was before. So can you give the name of that group?
It's Real Estate Investor Network 2.0.
2.0. And so backstory of that is that Jim has he had a group with almost 300,000.
380,000.
Yeah, it was 380,000 people on it, and somebody got upset with him, and somehow I don't know what exactly the whole situation was there, but
that's a whole nother story.
It's a whole nother story for a different day, but like he's got this new group going, and it's just a very active group, and it's not just an active group with like just a bunch of spam on there with people spamming their deals. Although there's deals on there. I don't want to, say that you can't post deals, and Jim and I both promote you promoting your deals on our groups, but it's really, insightful, and people will have a really engaging conversation about real estate and about deals and being a deal maker. So definitely something I would like for everybody to make sure that they get on. So today, Jim Ingersoll is our group. It's 10 after 5 or 5 after 10. Sorry. And so I'm going to get started here with what I got this morning. So first of all, if you guys missed last week's call, I'm going to tell you guys, last month's call with David and Tori was really, really good. There is not a single person that I know of, myself personally. I have a personal relationship with David Malcavani. There's not a single person I know of that understands economics like David does. I'm telling you, he I mean, and honestly, like the second best person, honestly, Jim, I've seen, is somebody who has, spoken at both of our events, and she might be on Kelly. Annie Kelly, like Anna Kelly, she's amazing.
She's awesome.
But I'm telling you, like, David has been doing this for decades. And so, and they are asset managers. They do help people with their management, but he didn't talk any about that. There was no real pitch at all in the whole entire call. Tori does help him with gold. And I do think that gold is something that we should be thinking about right now. If you guys don't have some gold in your portfolio, I look at real estate investing as not just real estate investing. I look at, I'm an investor. I want to make sure I've got three main parts of my my portfolio. I have the safety portion. That's what I call it. Some people call it different things, cash, whatever you want to call it, security. Safety is what I call it. And that safety for me is insurance, it's cash, it's things like gold. And I think there's a portion of real estate that can have some safety features to it. I don't want to mislead people, but I believe that real estate normally is in the other two buckets. It's in the wealth building bucket or it's in the cash flow bucket. So, and none of those are more important than the other guys, folks. So just let's be very careful about, sometimes we make some blanket statements that cash flow is about it's not all about cash flow, guys. You might have great cash flow and then in 10 years, the government changes something and now you got nothing. So, this is why I bring on other types of guests on these calls. So this is a great call. I promise you're going to want to see this one. Just like I'd recommend you go back and listen to Anna Kelly's, just like I say to go back and listen to all of Jim's calls he's been on with us, or lots of other guests, but we do have all these guys on our platform. Today it's Jim Ingersoll, good friend of mine. If there's anybody I want to be like in real estate, it is Jim Ingersoll. Super genuine. And really, like, to me, like that's the number one word I think of when I think of Jim Ingersoll. I think of genuine. I think of real. He's not going to be flashy. He's not going to tell you, like, it was so interesting. One of my favorite memories of you, Jim, is when you were on the stage. You were on the stage, and I don't remember. I think it might have even been a Quest event. I think it was Quest, if I'm not mistaken. But there's like 800 people in the crowd, right?
That would be Quest.
And it was seriously like person after person after person. We're talking about how everybody wants all these fancy things in their flips, and don't use agreeable gray. You have to use all these colors. And this is
I remember this conversation.
And Jim just sat there like, okay. And then when it got to Jim, he's like, well, I don't know. I used agreeable gray and all my houses seem to sell just fine. And he wasn't mean about it, but that's just, to me, it's like, that's a real guy. And
they were all saying they wanted to be Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Right.
And take like 9 months to do a flip. And I'm like, why do you want to do that?
Exactly.
I remember the conversation very well.
Unless you're making $1 million.
There were over 800 people there. Yes.
Yeah. Unless you're making $1 million on a flip, like, that's not what you want to do, folks. You want it to be streamlined, process-based, same thing over and over again.
Fast and easy.
Little tweaks. But love Jim. I'm excited about today's call. The other reason why I'm excited about today's call is that Jim always reminds us about being thankful year round. And with it being Thanksgiving week this week, to me it's a value. It's a core value. And I think it is actually one of your core values, if I'm not mistaken, in your business. I think if I remember Jim giving that to us.
There's a group of us. I need to add you into my network of being grateful, because there's a group of us that text each other every day. I've been doing this with a group for almost a year. And
that'd be awesome.
Like, it doesn't matter if we're traveling, doesn't matter if we're sick.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's Christmas Day. We just text each other 3 things every day we're grateful for.
That's to me, I'm
gonna add you in, and
I would love to
reciprocate if you feel so led.
And I'll be honest with you, I probably haven't been as I used to not quite journal, but I wouldn't let my feet hit the ground from my bed unless I stopped to think about something I was thankful for that day and thank God for it. And I think that's a discipline that we all probably should get. So again, like something like this, think about this, guys. Right now, what Jim's talking about is kind of having accountability partners with being thankful. Like
it's becoming quite a network, guys. Tom, I'm going to add you in. So here are my 3 from yesterday, Tom.
Let's do it.
I am grateful. Let's see, where'd they go? I got so many of them. I got a year's worth here. I could probably turn these into a book, actually.
That's awesome.
Let's see, yesterday's. I'm grateful for God's creation, including a change of season in Virginia, and for God being in control of our climate too. I'm grateful for God's presence every day, and I'm grateful for God's resources He allows us to manage. It was yesterday. It's just simple things. Like today, it'll be that I had a really good night's rest. That'll be one of my 3.
That's awesome. So think about that, guys. Like, find yourself, let me challenge you guys today.
Team up.
With it being Thanksgiving week, get together with a couple people and just put yourself in these little accountability pieces. You know, I've done this for years with people about Bible verses, and just like making sure that every day you're getting in the word, and what did you read that day and what did you get out of it. So, you know, we need this in business. We need this in real estate. We need this in you know, to get those disciplines
in our families too, Tom. Think about it. If you just took however many days are left in this year and you wrote something you're grateful for with your kids, your brothers, your parents, your wife, your husband, and then just give it to them on Christmas Day, that would make quite an impact on your family.
That's awesome. I think this has provoked me at the end of this call, what we're going to do. So just to give everybody a little bit of opportunity to kind of chime in on that. Like, so not right in this second, don't worry about putting in the chat this second, but towards the end of the call, let's just have a little time of Thanksgiving here where everybody that has an opportunity can just chime in and let everybody know what they're thankful for today. I think it'd be a really good way to end today's call. So me, since last month, I've had a super busy month. I've got a super busy month coming up. But me, since last month, I just finished this. My daughter turned 16 on Saturday, and we had a Sweet 16 party. It was kind of like a mix between Spanish people do, what do they do on 15? Quinceañeras. My daughter's got a lot of Spanish friends, and then there's the Southern girls party. They have like a quintillion or something like that. It wasn't one of those, but it was kind of like our version of Sweet 16. But we had a really good time. Was able to give my daughter some ceremonial gifts. I gave her some money and kind of showed her how valuable she was to us. Not by giving her the money, but actually by stomping on one of those monies and kind of showing that that's how life is going to treat us sometimes. Sometimes life is going to stomp on us and people are going to treat us rude and people aren't going to be nice to us. But guess what? We still hold that same value, you know, and we're still valuable to our parents. We're still valuable to our friends, to our community. And then I also gave her 16 roses with 16 different values, you know, from purity to generosity to all those different things. And I had the, you know, important people in her life, like her grandparents and her mom and her brother and sister and aunts and uncles, give her each one of those roses. And then I gave her a Bible because she needs to remember that she's valuable to God, and that God paid that ultimate price for her, but also to never stop learning. That's another reason why I gave her a Bible or a book there, is never stop learning. We had a really good time. You know, she got a crown, and which represents you know, responsibility. And then we changed her shoes from sneakers to high heel shoes. And it was interesting. I told her I'd get her a pair of new shoes and she could choose between sneakers and the high heel shoes. And guess what she chose? She chose the sneakers. She got new sneakers, even though she was becoming an adult and going into the high heels. But she's beautiful. We had a great time with her on Saturday. There was a lot of people there. I got to go on a trip to Guyana last weekend on a missions trip, and got to meet some very wonderful people, got to be a part of a missions conference, got to eat in 2 different people's houses from the church there, and we really just had a good time with that. Also got to ride on a speedboat that was made out of plank wood. So if you can think about that, like think about your oak 1x2s or 1x4s, and that's what all of the wood was, all of the boat was made out of. It was a little interesting, but it was perfectly fine. This was right up the street from our house. They were herding cattle, herding bulls with bicycles right down the middle of the street. And this was a quick video I took. One of the saddest things here about Guyana is how dirty these little tributaries and the rivers are. And it's really sad because it's really just because people just don't take care of them. They don't take care of the rivers. They just throw trash in them. And then it just turns to disgustingness, which then goes into their water supply. You can't really drink the water from even the spigot here because they don't have the filtration system for them. So it's something that breaks my heart. And this is something that was really tough for me to kind of just continually see over and over and over again there. Also got to see this right here on the river there. Like people do live in those huts, guys. It definitely makes you want to be a little bit thankful for what we get to, live in here in the United States. This is the boat that we took. It was interesting. I'll tell you that. It's only a 3-second video. So if you look at the underneath part of it, it was literally slats of wood, put together. It was, I mean, water was splashing up from underneath as we're going down the river. So it was interesting. It was a good time. I love going on mission trips. I encourage anybody out there. Actually just got a phone call from Augie Blaylock, who's going to be in Belize in December. And he's asking me for more churches that, he could help distribute his chairs in, and I'm connecting him with 2 different other pastors that I know there. But if you guys have never been on a missions trip, I highly recommend you guys go. You guys will see things that you never got to see before, and you'll get to see why we do what we do. To me, it's all about work to have to give. It's about working with my hands. It actually, that verse starts with, let him that stole steal no more. Don't be a robber. Don't steal against, people. And then the next step after being a robber, right, or stealing, is begging, right? We shouldn't be beggars either. But if I had my choice between somebody living on my street that's a beggar or somebody who's stealing from me, I'd probably choose the beggar, right? But that's kind of the next step. But you shouldn't do that, but rather let him labor, working with his hands, the thing which is good. So work is a good thing, folks. And what we do here, and building our real estate, portfolios and our empires, I believe is a good work. It's we're offering something to humanity that helps humanity. It's a good work. And I want to remind everybody about that this morning, that what you do matters. And the work that you do, the investors you serve, or the tenants you serve, or whoever it is that you serve in your work in real estate, matters. And working is a good thing, but that verse doesn't stop there, folks. It says working with your hands, the thing which is good, so you can have. Well, guess what, guys? You can't ever have if you spend everything that you get. You've got to set things aside. You've got to be able to kind of build a little bit of wealth there. But the whole thing doesn't end there. So you can work to have to give to them that needeth. That's the whole purpose of good success, and the whole reason why I live my life. And I encourage everybody else to think about that as you go on your day. Upcoming, I am actually going to Guatemala in 2 weeks. Actually, I'm going to be with Brother Dan Wilder there on another quick missions trip. And then, so also upcoming, this is actually coincide here with Jim, but this was on last month's call. It will continue to be on these calls. But if you guys are not already registered for Dealmaker in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, you guys want to go. Trust me, I promise you. This is one of the best events of the year, I think. If you want genuine people, if you want people that will actually sit down and talk to you, and it's not just a bunch of people in suits and just I'm better than you. That's not the type of community that. And I've been to those meetings. Trust me, I've been to a lot of those meetings, and they're not really fun for people like us that really like to just talk with people and have a good time. I'm actually going to be running a mastermind for Jim, and I'm going to bring back the if you guys were a part of the original one I did with Jim about, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe. But we're going to do the Busy Bee game. And it's a great networking tool, mastermind there. It'll be super, super fun. So make sure you guys join me March 5th, 6th, and 7th. And you guys can go to elitedealmakers.com to get those tickets. So, but make sure that you guys make that happen. Also been announcing this. And this is filling up. I don't even know if they have tickets left for this, but if you guys are not going, or if you guys would like to go on a cruise where you get stuck on a cruise boat for a week with a bunch of other investors, February 11 through 18 next year, investoraddicts.com. You guys want to make that happen as well. And then don't forget about the free-for-all, September 5, 6, and 7 next year. We've already got about half the speakers already committed. And I know we've already got a lot of tickets already sold for this thing as well. So make sure you guys get your tickets for that. I'm not going to go through that. The videos are available too. Maybe if you didn't go last year, or you're thinking, should I go this year? We'll get the videos and kind of get a taste of what you're going to get there. So you guys can go to goodsuccess.com and get the videos from, I think the last 2 or 3 are on there as well. So you guys can get those as well. Don't forget to join the Facebook group. Remember to be a conduit. not a bucket. And if you're local, we are going to have November 30th next week, next Thursday. We're not going to do a December meetup group, but we are going to do 2 in November to kind of help. There's this holiday season is super busy in December, so we're going to try to do that. And this is actually going to be more of a mastermind. This is not going to be a presentation, so to speak. Like we normally would do at a meetup group. We're really going to do a mastermind and help you guys put your 2024 plans together, your business plans, your life plans, whatever you guys want to call it. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have a little bit more food than we normally have. So make sure you guys come and be ready for that. Next month's call, I'm going to have Brandon Rooks on here. I haven't had him on this call yet, but he's been a sponsor of our last 2 free-for-alls. He is a friend of mine, and he's going to talk about land. And I'm really going to try to get him to talk about what he does with land and how he actually develops land. And he does it in a pretty big way. And he's been good. And the people that have been working with him in the last couple of years have done good. So I'm going to have him on next December 12th. This is the only thing that we're going to be doing in December from Good Success here. But December 12th at 10 a.m. will be the next call here. So, Jim, how are you doing today, sir? We already got to talk a little bit already. So
Life is good. It's better than I deserve, Tom. That's for sure.
I'll tell you what,
that's good. How about you?
that is always a good answer, right? People ask you how you're doing.
I tell people that every day. It's just the truth.
Yes. So this is going to be a little bit different today because, a lot of our speakers on these calls have a presentation, so to speak. But me and Jim are just going to get on and kind of chat. And Jim has a lot of people on his calls, but we don't get to hear from Jim that much. So I always like to hear from Jim.
I don't like talking about myself, Tom.
I know he doesn't, but I just got to make him sometimes. Sometimes we got to pin him down and ask him what he's doing. Maybe if you don't like talking about, your business and that, how about your kids and how about those grandkids?
Everybody's really good. We're an all-in real estate family. So that's good. My daughter Chris will be here in a little while, making cookies with Cheryl for Thanksgiving, I guess, or Christmas. But she's really busy doing a lot of real estate, and her and her husband, and they're trying to buy more and more rentals, doing mostly furnished rentals. And then Melissa and Luke, my son-in-law Luke's a realtor. He's had another really good year. And then Melissa and him also have some rentals along the way. So we're like all in real estate. We can't escape it. We talk about real estate a lot as a family, and we do family bank and help our kids out however we can. The only thing better than doing real estate deals for me, Tom, is when I get the honor of helping my girls build their own rental portfolio or do a flip.
Right. There is a lot there, folks. So I'd love to review that slowly.
Okay.
So you said you've got one child that's a realtor.
Yeah. Son-in-law.
So son-in-law's a realtor. And then one of your kids is buying a bunch of rentals and you're helping them buy the rentals.
Right.
And then the other one seems like they're more focused on like midterm, short-term rentals, furnished rentals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My daughter, Carissa, basically she quit her job working at the hospital doing furnished rentals. Tom, it isn't that hard to do, is it?
We have 39 of them.
It's a lot. You don't need that many.
Right. You don't, but I'm just telling you, like when it comes to furnished rentals or midterm rentals, people ask me all the time, if you were to start all over again, what would you do? And right now in the market we're in today, that's probably where I would start.
So would I, Tom, and we hadn't even discussed that.
Right.
So that's why I've been helping her do that, because I think it's the quickest, most consistent path to just creating financial independence.
Right. So, but I just think there's a lot there, and just think about that, folks. Even today, this week on Thanksgiving week, right? Like how can we get our family more involved in what we do? I mean, that's almost like a mastermind in itself. Like how do we get our family?
Tom, how do you and Becky work together? Like Cheryl and I work together too, and it's there's good times and there's challenging times on those pathways. There are some times where Cheryl just says, you know, I just need a little space. And I'm like, I need it too.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Because we are an all-in real estate family. I mean,
got it.
all of us.
Right. And our kids aren't quite there yet. Like we made our kids grow up in the business. We would have them work with us
Yeah.
during the summer. And that's honestly one of the, I mean, I'm not an accountant and I'm not giving, tax advice here, but it's something that you should learn how to get your kids involved and give them a job and give them work and make it valuable and not just pay them. Some people just want to get their kids money just so they can have a tax write-off, and keep it in the family, but like actually make them work. Like they have cleaned our houses for years. We had vacation rentals, we had short-term rentals. They've cleaned our houses for years. My one daughter helped me write one of my books. She went through and she proofread it all, and
Great idea.
she's actually helping me go back and redo. I'm redoing the 30 Days to Good Success and kind of putting Bible verses with it and making it like, this is not just my opinion, but this is something I believe that, these 30 questions I think you should ask are biblical, and kind of, doing that. But like, so my kids aren't of age yet. My 16-year-old who just turned 16 is already planning on getting her realtor license once she turns 18. So that's definitely something that, is kind of, and we can't force the kids, right? Like a lot of times they have to learn on their own. Sometimes they have to learn by, the school of hard knocks, that they go and do a different path and work for somebody else. And they're like, man, I really wish I
That's good for my daughter. My youngest daughter did that. Both of my kids started when they were in middle school. Really, they started helping me with marketing because I used to do a lot of postcards. And back then, it wasn't automated like it is today. So I would have to go to Office Max and I would get them printed. And then I would have like 4 per page. But then you'd have to manually do a mail merge and put the sticker on for the label, for the address, and all of that. So it was a good chunk of it was manual. And so they started off helping me with marketing when they were in junior high school.
That's good.
And then when they were in high school, going into college, they started doing a flip here and there, or each of them bought a rental right before they started college. One did it with Subject to, and the other, we did a joint venture with her. And they held those rentals through college. That way they didn't really need to work part-time at the cafeteria at college. They just had cash flow. So that's kind of how we sort of got that into their mindset.
Yeah.
Early.
Yeah, we've tried to invest in their ESAs, self-directed ESAs, and we've been doing loans with those ESAs and wraps. So, and kind of the same reason, I don't mind my kids working a little bit, but I'd really like to be able to help them, with some of the stuff, but they got to understand this is how it works.
Right.
So explaining to them the loan docs and explaining to them how that works.
There's a lot to learn. There is a lot to learn, Tom. Yes. So yeah, and so each of them sort of started when they were in middle school, high school, and all the way through college. Instead of working summer jobs during college, we'd flip a house together. And then when they got out of college, one went directly into real estate with her and her husband, and the other went to work in medical for a while. But when Carissa realized that she didn't have the freedom she wanted working at a hospital, she was looking for other avenues and went back in full-time doing furnished rentals. And she got there pretty quick, Tom. You can replace W-2 income reasonably quick.
Yep. I don't know if Brian's on this call, but Brian will definitely attest to that, Brian Burnett.
Oh, he sure will. He's got about 25 of them.
And his family. So there's a couple of questions already here in the chat. Jonathan says, does all in mean they collect rent? He's asking for his daughter.
Well, yeah, I mean, all rent now is easy. It's not like it used to be. I mean, everything's online. So whether you got a regular rental or furnished rental or an Airbnb, everything's collected online. You don't have to go collect it in person like some people used to back in the 90s, thankfully.
Then no. And there's things like Pay Near Me and things like that that you can use to collect rent as well. Then if there's another question, what is an ESA? I'm going to let you answer that because you know the answer to this.
Well, an ESA is just educational savings account. So, and you can do that in a self-directed if you want. When my kids were young, Tom, we did 529s. But that's because I didn't know what an ESA was. But you could do a self-directed, and you could start investing in there, and you could do a wrap, or you could do a joint venture, or you could do all kinds of things. And then you could create tax-free savings for your kids, both for private school and for college later.
Yeah, so the Quest has the Coverdale that you can use for that. And it's kind of like just to kind of give a little bit what it is, it's kind of like a Roth. That's about the best way I can. You do not get a tax deduction when you put money into a Coverdale, but you don't pay tax on any of the increase. So as long as
HSA is really powerful too.
HSAs are super powerful as well.
I mean, I'm wondering why I don't do more of my HSA, because it's very easy to pull money out on a distribution completely tax-free before you're of age to do so in a Roth.
True, absolutely true. So, so we been talking a little bit about getting your kids involved in real estate. Jim, I haven't followed up with you, and if this is too much on a live call, that's fine. But I'd love to hear how things are going on your Florida property.
Which one? The one from Hurricane Ian?
Yes.
Oh, it hasn't been very good. I mean, we're over a year past, and our house is currently gutted still, Tom, believe it or not. So yeah, that's been really a massive challenge. And just because you've been doing this a long time, like you and I have been, Tom, it isn't like we don't have challenges.
It's true. Yes.
We can like get through the challenges, but we still got to work through them. Yeah, Hurricane Ian came through Sanibel, Florida, and my neighborhood where my house is a third of a mile off the Gulf of Mexico, and we had 9 feet of water, storm surge come through. You get 9 feet of storm surge through your house, you're
not much you can do.
You're not going to enjoy it. But Tom, we've had so we're dealing with a national disaster recovery contractor, which sucks. And they're working on thousands of units on Sanibel Island. And but I've had a number of really firm but fair conversations with them in the last 3 weeks, and I'm getting progress now. So I think we're going to be drywalled in 2 weeks, and then all of it's going through FEMA and flood insurance, and it's kind of a hassle. But in about 5 or 6 weeks, I'm going to get the property back in what they call a white box. White box means, the siding, the windows, the roof's done. It's got all new systems, the plumbing, the electrical, all that's done, and it's drywalled in. And then I get to finish on my own with some amount of money left over from flood. And that's what I'm looking forward to, because it's easy to finish. I could have done this on my own in, like 2 months, the whole thing. And here we are 13 months later, or whatever it's been. I'm just not a real patient guy. I'm very aggressive.
No, and that I
had to work through this. So
I think it's good to bring out, because I went through this whole thing with my insurance this year with the fire on my building.
Yeah, that's right.
It's definitely something when it's like nobody really looks at their insurance policy until something bad happens. And it's really at that point, it's really too late.
That is true. Now, I'm thankful we had the flood insurance, Tom.
Yes.
But, there's times in my mind I'm thinking maybe I should have said, screw the flood insurance and just fix it on my own, because I'd have been done 8 months ago. But the flood claim on our house is $200,000. So I have to keep reminding myself of that.
Yeah,
big claim.
I learned a lot with my own deal as well, and I hired another company to come in and mediate, and their bill alone was like $225,000, and I'm like, my company would have charged like $100 for that same work. It's not, and I would have made money. Like it is kind of one of those things that you kind of learn, and you kind of have to figure out how to handle it. You don't really know what to do when something happens that's like, it's rough. And you almost feel like you have to make a decision right away. And maybe sometimes it's better just to kind of, for me, I feel like in hindsight, it would have been better for me to wait and kind of hold off at least a couple of days before I hired. I mean, I literally hired somebody the day of the fire because I'm like, I didn't want.
Let's go. I know you're aggressive.
This is where my building is I got 30 employees that need to be, back in their building. And it didn't really help it go any faster, folks. So I thought it would help it go faster, and it didn't really help it go any faster. And in hindsight, I really could have done it all myself, and probably been a whole lot better off, but I didn't really know the rules of the game. So kind of like understanding the rules of that game is something that we might want to think about. And really, honestly, I do think it's a good time every year. Take a hard look at your policies and make sure that they're going to cover. Understand what your co-insurance is. Like, if you don't know what co-insurance is, then you really need to have somebody talk to you about your insurance.
Insurance is going up a lot too, so be aware.
Especially in Florida.
Yeah, I've got other property in Florida. Like, I'll give you an example. I have, say, a 5-unit apartment complex that went from 6,000 a year to 10,000, just like that. So you can imagine the impact on bottom line cash flow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of our
Reality.
just our regular single family homes in Pensacola went from, $1,400 a year, I think, to like $2,400 a year. And, it was, I mean, just instantly, basically.
Yeah, ours went up 40%, and other people's did as well. And it's something to be aware of. I would say, everyone wants these Airbnbs right on the Gulf and stuff, but understand there's a huge risk of hurricane. Sanibel's a barrier island with one point of entrance, and the hurricane took out the bridge as well. So there was literally no way to access the island till DeSantis got it rebuilt like 3 weeks later or whatever it was. The first people over to my house in Sanibel, Tom, I had contractors, and we chartered a boat. You couldn't drive there, so they put their tools in the boat, and they went in and they started gutting my place. So, there's challenges for sure. And I've had a number of fires as well, so I'm glad you brought that up as well. It's just really important points.
Yeah. So what about your other properties in Florida? So how are those going? Those are in Polk County, right? Like kind of more in the center?
All the other ones are like in the middle,
Yeah.
just south, like in between Orlando and Tampa. And no real hurricane issues there. Yeah, I was just looking at some more there today, Tom, right before I got on.
And we got some
I
friends
think
in that area.
do you think, Tom, like in commercial real estate, there's going to be some narrow gap where it's a really good time to buy? I don't know that it's going to be like this really wide gap. I don't know how long that gap will be, but if you have some guts and you have a network and the ability to manage, you might have some opportunity coming up. I'm seeing like a self-storage with higher cap rates than I used to.
No, absolutely. I'm seeing everything in commercial have higher cap rates right now. Like everything.
Like you can buy like an 8 or a 10 cap right now, I think.
Yep.
Pretty close. Not pro forma. Like if you find the right one, you can get there going in.
Yep.
And that's a lot better than a 3 or 4 like we had for a few years.
I agree. 100%. And I think you're right. I mean, if you guys listen to any Anna's stuff, she says that a typical tranche or typical, the bottom of the market is 11 months. So like, think about that. And I think actually that's a great point actually to bring up right now. Normally everybody's fearful during those times, right? And you're starting to feel that in the market. I mean, this whole call is named, what's going on in real estate, and you are really starting to hear and feel fear a little bit in the markets. At least I have. I don't know if you are, and I know everyone
is. Raise your hand if you've heard people, a little bit concerned with, crash or whatever it is.
Yep. There's definitely fear. We're also seeing pain even with our sellers. right? So you're starting to really see pain where you didn't see pain for years almost. It was hard to find pain unless somebody died or unless there was a divorce, unless there was bankruptcy or something, like you really didn't see pain. Now it's a lot more prevalent. Now you're really getting people that have to
This is
sell.
a good time of the year to buy too. Every December we buy.
Always. Yep.
Between New Year's, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, every year I get good deals.
Yeah.
I put like 4 houses under contract in the last 7 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we slowed down a lot in third quarter, but fourth quarter is always kind of like my peak. I want to be more aggressive to buy, not more aggressive in my
There's pizza in the back for the staff too.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's pizza for the staff in the back too. That soup smells so good.
I think Samantha,
I do. I want
mute
some.
your. Can you guys mute Samantha?
You should be able to mute her right in the box.
There you go.
So
but
I think it's a good time to buy, and I also think it's a good time to buy commercial. I've been talking to this seller in South Carolina about this commercial property. He's highly motivated, and I see others with self storage where the cap rates are 8-9%, 8 and 9, and that's pretty good. But with interest rates so high,
8%,
it's still a challenge. But if you had the right financing, or if you could get seller financing, then I think it would be good time to buy if you have the guts to do so. We always say buy when the blood's in the street, Tom.
Yeah, and it's starting to get there.
It is.
Definitely is starting to get there, 100%. There was a question about the best way to learn more about midterm rentals. I'll just tell you to look up a guy named Al Williamson. As far as Jim's got stuff. We actually just had a meetup group locally, Susan, and I'm not sure if you were there with that. That's just all we talked about with short-term
rentals. Just covered it in our circle last week. It's really, really good. And, there's more data than there used to be. Mm-hmm. So just start at furnishfinders.com. There's data right on the homepage. Scroll down. You'll find it. And then you can pull up your local market to see how the activity looks. Every market's a little different on these corporate rentals.
Yeah, so I'll even tell you just some of the different, even the difference between Northwest Indiana and Pensacola, Florida. It's the same size of MSA, but there's 10 times the amount of people looking in Pensacola every month on just Furnish Finders than there is in Northwest Indiana. So there's 5,000 views a month in Northwest Indiana with 500,000 people, and there's 50,000 in Pensacola, Florida every single month. So and we do fine here in Northwest Indiana, all of ours except for 4 of them. We only have 4 of these in Pensacola, Florida. And honestly, it's different.
I'm to start buying down there, Tom. Let's go.
It's
what
different.
What's the website you said? Is it furnishfinders.com?
Yeah, that's just one of the websites that you can.
That's one of the ones that has data. I like it. I love Furnish Finders, but it has data available. So if you scroll down on the homepage, you can pull up your city. You can't put an address in like AirDNA, but you can pull up your city.
But you can also.
Thank you very much.
The other cool thing about this is something to know that you cannot do them everywhere you would do a rental. It does need to be in a little bit nicer neighborhood than you would do could still make money on a rental. I believe in high scale rentals, even in low neighborhoods. I still think you should still put nice finishes in those rentals.
I do it the same way, Tom.
They rent faster. They
easier
rent
to manage.
Money. I think some people want to get market rent, but they don't really want to, make they want to get higher than market rent, but they don't really want to make their property all the way to that.
We do our flips and our rentals basically with the same scope.
Almost. There's not much different, but with the furnished rental, you definitely for sure want to make sure it's more like, flip. And you also have to understand it's a little bit like a hospitality business, more so than it's not quite hospitality like an Airbnb, but it's
it's not, no.
Especially when people are moving in, it's a lot more like hospitality than it is like a rental. After every turnover. So I think it is some really good way to do business now, but you also have to look at your market, because I know there's some markets that are oversaturated even in the midterm rental space. So
there is in different configurations, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. I've always liked smaller units. I have a couple of tiny houses that do really well. They're 480 square feet type thing, and they do great on there.
We have a 5-unit that they're all studios and they're always full.
What do they rent for, Tom, in your market there?
1,200-1,300.
Yeah, I mean, there's so little housing available at that price point. that
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Like the cheaper you could make it, the better. So this is why sometimes these quirky, I think what I actually like right now is the quirky ones that don't really rent well. And they're not really great, but they really do work really well. We have a 3-unit in Highland, does really, really well. We've got this 5-unit out in Couts, which is not really, actually, if that was in Valpo, we'd get more than the 1,100-1,400 for it. But
So we got 480 square feet and we rented at 2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like I can't get that with a regular traditional rental in that unit.
Yeah. We've got a 3-unit in Pensacola and we get, like one's a 1-bedroom, one's a 2-bedroom, and the other one's a 1-bedroom, and we get 1,800, 1,600, and 2,200. But I'm only into the whole thing like 200 grand. So I mean, those are good
Doesn't
numbers.
take many of those to be financially independent, Tom. Those
No.
are great numbers.
Yep. All right. So Jim, you've got stuff going on. Are you still doing anything in Richmond? Or are you spending
No,
all your-
everything. I haven't bought anything in Florida this year, I don't think.
Okay. So most of your stuff still is.
So yeah, most of it's in Virginia. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy in Florida. Or maybe even Tennessee or North Carolina or wherever, but right now it's mostly in Virginia. Yeah.
And are you adding more to your portfolio, or are you flipping still?
Yeah,
Or
I'd
what are you
like
doing?
to, but I'm really working with my kids a lot too. So if they want to, if I find something, I kind of pass it by my kids first. Just do one of them want it instead of me.
Something I did want to let everybody know about. This just happened to me in the last week. And this is, I would have never expected to say this, but Chase Bank right now is giving out lines of credit like it's no
American Express.
business. So my business banker told me that Chase has not given out lines of credit to the real estate people in 17 years.
Wow.
But right now, they will give you up to $250,000 with no docs, as long as they can see cash flow in your accounts. Like, so if you've got heavy cash flow and if you're steady and they can see like that you have a good track record with them. So for me, I only got 100,000 because I got a lot of credit cards. Every one of my companies has a credit card with Chase, and I have personal credit cards with Chase. So I only got 100,000, but I'm even thinking about redoing some of my credit card allocation and using different credit card companies.
I have never used lines of credit.
What's that?
In like the minority of people. I happen to love debt, but I like good debt secured against rentals.
Yeah.
So I've never done it, but American Express has one called the American Express Blueprint. Also, you guys could check out. And it's up to $150,000. And double check the terms, but I think if you take $100,000 for 18 months, it's $500 a month, something like that. But double check, because I'm not a line of credit guy. I don't typically advocate lines of credit.
Now, again, I'm not advocating this for like a normal person just to go out and spend the money, and not to me. But I feel like in the market that we're in right now, having any bit of easy and again, like
Tom, let's say take that one you just gave at Chase, $200,000. You could do another furnished rental at 200,000, right?
I could. Now, I probably wouldn't do that. I would prefer having the long-term debt. But
you could convert it, like you could just hold it there for a little while and then convert to a bank.
Exactly.
The banks are going to drop at some point.
Right. So instead of going through the hassle of, getting a lender, like if you only need a deal for a short period of time, I believe right now we're coming up on a time where you can hotel and do really, really well. I'm telling you, we just picked up a house a week ago and the guy's still living in there. We've given him 2 weeks to be in the property, but we paid $240 for the house. It's a $390 after repaired value. But my whole plan is to literally, as soon as he leaves, to list it on the market for $320, and so for a deal like that, where you just need money for a short period of time, like it's great to be able to just, click a couple buttons, transfer the money and you don't have to worry about a private lender. I mean, and if I was going to hold this property for a long period of time, and I think on this particular property, we use a private, money lender on it. And I'm not going to say unlimited, but like I have a lot of private money lenders that will loan us money, and Jim does too. But still, there's still application for when you can use $100,000-$200,000 just sitting there waiting for you to happen. So, and I just figured I'd bring it up, Jim, because I just it hasn't been this easy to get credit.
No, I agree.
Lines
That's
of credit.
interesting.
And there's and so this is what I was told. So what I was told is that there are certain banks that make really good money when interest rates are low. And then there's other banks that make good money when interest rates are high. So it depends on what side of the pendulum they're on. And your bigger banks, your Chase, your American Express, they're going to make money now.
Yeah.
So all the mortgage companies that you're seeing that are going on in business right now, and there is a huge news that nobody's talked about too. Did you hear about this? Citizens Bank went under. Like, this is a big bank.
It is.
Like, it went under almost a month ago. And if you Google it, you'll find it. This is a big bank. Like, this is one of the top, 20 banks out of Iowa. And, so there's going to be banks that are going to probably go under, but there's other banks that are going to do really, really well with high interest rates. And so I believe like your Chases of the world and your American Expresses of the world, those are going to be places that we haven't honestly as investors gone to, right? None of us have really gone to those banks in the last 15 years. But it may be a new source for capital. And this is the good thing too. This is what I look at right now. Right now, the rate's like 11%. So it's not a great rate to get these lines, but they're prime plus. So, and I believe, I'm not saying 100% sure we're peaking, and I can't, I'm not going to tell you I can read the future, but my feeling says they are.
I think so.
And I think we're going to have lower interest rates. So let's just say, theoretically, in 2 or 3 years, if rates are back down to 3%, well, now this is going to be a 6% line of credit. And it might be better for me at that point than it even is today to just have, an easy access.
No, we've been locking some things up with private money a little different than we used to, Tom. We're doing like 8.5% interest only on 2-year loans. Thinking that right now we could do that, and then in a couple of years our rates with the bank will be lower.
Mm-hmm.
And that's worked out pretty well for us. That's one tweak we've sort of made this year. I'm also doing a lot of wraps. I'm starting to like lending like you do, Tom. I'm learning from Conduit here.
I'm telling you, wraps
are pretty powerful.
Very powerful.
We've done several. I'm doing another one in about 10 days. And I don't know if any of my rep partners are on today, but we appreciate you guys very much. And if somebody's looking to do some co-lending or some regular lending, reach out to me. And let's talk about it a little bit. Somebody said, can you explain a wrap? I've got a video that explains it really well. I would love to send to you if you'll text me your email. But basically, it's a way of co-lending. Then we're doing all of ours in our IRAs. So my self-directed IRA and somebody else's, typically someone else's IRA, come together and we lend together. Basically, I've been lending at 10 and 2. I know a lot of y'all do 10 and 3 or 11 and 3 or whatever, but and then my co-lender typically makes 8.5%. I'll keep the difference between 8.5 and 10, and I'll keep the 2 points for originating the loan and servicing the loan. So kind of how we do it, and it works out really well. Tom, I found my rep partners are coming a lot of times from people that moved money into a self-directed IRA and didn't know how to do their first deal.
Yeah, no.
So I'm starting to like this because I'm helping people do their first self-directed deal all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And then like my first rep partner, which was Dee, I think Dee was on him, if I remember right. Dee was like one of my first ones. Yeah, she's on. Okay, cool. She's in Michigan. And it was her first self-directed deal, Tom. But immediately like right after we did our deals, she did one on her own. Like she
There you
doesn't
go.
need me forever.
Yep. Yep. 100%. So I think and this is not a trick. I mean, I call it a trick, but I do think that this one little piece of advice, when you're raising private money, I think it is something that you can use like to raise private money as well. So if you can help your private money lenders teach them how to do wraps,
Right.
you'll be shocked at like, how much what will come back to you. So, and I've been doing this for years. There's many people, I think I've been on this call that I've done this with. And I know there's people, I'm looking at their faces right now that we've done this with. So we've done this like over and over and over again. And I've raised private money this way. I have deployed my own IRA funds. And it's been really, really good. So you have to understand it a little bit. And I don't think we have time on this call to go
And
through it.
Tom, for quite a few years, I didn't work with other people on OPM at all like this. And all of a sudden I am, and I sort of like it because I feel like they're learning.
Yes.
Sitting with me, and we're like learning together, and working with some new people has been kind of refreshing.
So most of the time people want to charge you, right? To learn this. How would you like to make money while you get to learn?
I like the way you said it. So all of a sudden we're looking for co-lending partners, and all of a sudden too, Tom, I'm like buying quite a few properties here at the end of the year, and I may actually take on a new regular private money lender as well. So I'm both a borrower and a lender, Tom, like you are.
Yes, sir.
I like both sides of that table, though I don't have conduit capital, but some days I wonder why not. It's a good business.
I love it.
And the quote Chuck Glover, who's on it, he's done like 90 wraps now. You get to participate in somebody else's legacy and like help them over that hurdle of financing. I like the way you think about that, Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck said about 75% of his loans have been wrap loans.
Having
And it's a great way to blow up your retirement accounts.
It is.
I can concur. I think it is. I'm
going to keep doing them.
Yes, it's what I've used. And you can do short term or long term. I actually kind of prefer the long term deals, Jim. I like to do work one time and get paid many times over and over and over and over and over again. Especially in my inherited Roths. Like I'd prefer my wraps to be in my inherited Roth. And I prefer, like, I'll give you the money, you can keep it for 15 years. Just keep paying me every single month.
Right.
So those are really good. Anything else, Jim, that you've got this time?
I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's good. It was
Life is good, and it's good to be catching up with you, Tom. I'm extremely grateful for you, deeply grateful for you and Becky in a very genuine way, and just seeing a lot of people on here today, and it's good to see everybody.
It is. So thank you guys for being on today. I wanted to end the call with so Jim, real quick, could you put in the chat that I think it's elitedealmaker.com?
Yeah, I just put it in a minute ago, and actually this week we did a Black Friday promo. It's $100 off if you want to register. We'd love to have you.
EliteDealmaker.com if you guys want to go to Dealmaker. And then don't forget about joining his Facebook group as well. What is it again, Jim? Real Estate
Investor Network 2.0.
2.0. That just pops up on my phone as soon as I go to Facebook half the time. So and the 2.0 isn't that much different, but it's just.
I just did it as a way of getting Facebook back, Tom.
Yeah, I just can't believe that Facebook did that to you.
Isn't that funny?
But
one of the most common questions I'm getting the last month is doesn't it bother you so much that they've removed a group with 380,000 people in it? People are asking me this every day, and I'm like, no, not really, because I'm grateful for all the deals and the networks that were built in that group. And if I stay grateful, then I don't get bitter. I had somebody last week, Tom, told me they were working on almost $100 million commercial deal because of that group. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
somebody's going to make a ton of commission on that thing.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. So so if you guys want to, you guys can like unmute and let people know about what you're thankful for today. Or if you want to put it in the chat, you guys can as well. Chuck said, grateful for mobility. He has to leave, but wanted to share his
Well,
gratitude.
Chuck and I are going to Nicaragua together next week, so he may be.
Oh, is that with Augie?
Yeah,
Oh, that'll be awesome.
next week on Thursday.
I can't wait to see the pictures. Make sure you send me some pictures, Jim, or
It's
post
going to
them
be good. We're going to give away
Facebook.
wheelchairs.
So what are you guys thankful for today? Want to give you guys thankful for growth and God provides from Gerald.
Absolutely.
Amen to that. And you're not going to grow unless you get outside of your comfort zone, folks. So growth doesn't happen when we're just doing the same old. Get out there and make something happen. Junior says, thankful for Tom and Jim and all of the opportunities. And Junior's just been tearing it up this year, getting lots of deals done. You know, Junior works for me, but also like he is just doing as many deals as he possibly can. And he works. He doesn't work full time. He works part time for me, but he's a good guy. I'm gonna be taking Junior with me on a missions trip next year. I'm not sure exactly if we're going to go to Peru. I want to go to Peru and climb Machu Picchu, but Junior actually used to be a missionary to Peru. And he would, I'm sure he'd love to go to there, but
Tom, I think you and I need to start looking to doing some commercial deals together.
Yes.
Take away.
Yes.
Because they're out there. You just got to raise capital and start doing it.
Well, I can raise the capital. Raising the capital is the easy part right now. It's still easy to raise capital, and that might flip, Jim. I mean, I was thinking about that when I was on my call. I was on a call yesterday with a company that hired me as a consultant yesterday for a couple hours. And, you know, I was thinking about today is one of those times in the market where like it's hard to get a seller to sell a house unless they're really motivated and there's a lot of pain because they still think prices are up here. And I think prices are kind of starting to kind of come down a little bit. At least that's the way we're underwriting. But there's times in the cycle where it's easy to get money. There's times in the cycle that it's hard to get money. There's times in the cycle where it's easy to find sellers and sometimes it's easy to find buyers. And I think that these tables are going to start flipping a little bit over the next year. So pay attention to that in your own market. Wow, there's lots of gratitude up here, Jim. This is awesome. Tuca, actually one of my investors, and he used to be in Northwest Indiana, and now he actually lives in my other market, Pensacola, Florida. It was kind of an interesting turn of events there, but grateful for having the opportunity to hear the great stories and advice from this group. Susan says, I'm grateful for new knowledge and people to share what they know. Thanks. Liz says, grateful for my health. Absolutely. We don't have anything if we don't have our health, right? Thanks for sharing today. Got to get back to work now. Christy, grateful. I started growing my network on the 2020 cruise. Yes, hopefully you'll be on the next cruise in February next year, Christy. Christy's awesome. Season, half of my kids can't come home for Thanksgiving, and it has me grateful for the times that we did have all together and hope for more. You know, that's something I've been thinking about, Jim, is I've got a daughter who's going to more than likely be going off to college next August, and I haven't experienced that part of my life yet, but I was on the radio this morning with a missionary who just picked up his daughter from being here out of the country with him. And it was good to kind of think about that in different seasons of life. Ken Townsend, thankful for the ability to be around like-minded people who have the right mindset of abundance and inspiration. Brian, grateful for my family and our beautiful home. And then Kevin says, I'm grateful for Tom and Jim encouraging and teaching me about private money loans years ago. Yes. Still remember that. I had to convert him from being a landlord to being a lender. And now he's still a landlord a little bit, but loves lending. And I do too. Jim, also grateful for our breakfast in St. Kitts.
With Kevin.
And then Pat, grateful for seller finance in Texas, something I just kind of got involved with a little bit with a private money lending partner in one of my IRAs a couple months ago. Did a deal with them.
Good to see you.
So Pat's been I haven't seen you, Pat, for a long time other than on these calls. We haven't been, but Pat used to go on all the cruises we used to go on together. and miss spending time with you, Pat. But we get to spend time on Facebook from time to time and on these calls. So appreciate you, Pat. Grateful for Seller Finance in Texas, leaving today to stage. All the best to you and the giving over the years. If anybody wants to just hop on real quick, they can. If not, we'll just, let everybody go and have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Jim, for investing in our community today. And thank you for always being a giver. Thank you for
You too, Tom.
being genuine and just kind of letting everybody know that this is real life, guys. It's not all about the flashiness. It's not all about the big deals that we think we always make a lot of money. Sometimes those big deals, we think we're going to make a lot of money. We don't make a lot of money on it. Sometimes the little ones are the ones that end up, like just kind of coming through for us over and over and over again. I want to thank, I've got 6 or 7 investors on this, actually, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we got 9 or 10 of our investors on this call today. So thank you guys for jumping on as well. Appreciate everybody. Don't forget the next call is going to be December 12th. Talking to Brandon. You guys will enjoy him. He is the life of the party. I will tell you that. Jim is a little bit more, he's kind of like straight and genuine and just right. Not that Brandon's not genuine, but he's the life of the party. He will get you guys going. You guys will enjoy him. But if I don't see you guys, happy Thanksgiving, happy Christmas or Merry Christmas coming up, and Happy New Year. If you guys are local, don't forget about next Friday. So not this Friday, obviously, this is Black Friday. If we're not gonna do it then, but next Friday, we're gonna do a mastermind at the meetup group. And we're also going to be putting together our 2024 plans. So I'm going to kind of just go, I'm going to go at it. This is something I charge thousands of dollars for companies to help them put together their plans. But if you guys want to be a part of that, and you guys are local, 2701 West 45th Avenue, or you guys can go to the Good Success website and find out more about that. That's it today. Any last words, Jim?
No, happy Thanksgiving. Stay grateful. Find somebody to text every day and surprise your family. Write something down in your journal every day between now and Christmas and give it to them for Christmas.
Amen. That's good.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you, brother. Let's do a commercial deal together in 2024. I just wrote it down as a goal. So
there you go. Let's go.
Do a commercial deal with Jim
All right.
in 2024. Have a good day, guys. God
See you
bless.
guys later.